have a seat. If we haven't had a chance to meet yet, I'm Brad. I'm the students coordinator here. I'll be serving as our preaching ministry today. If you're new with us, our church has been going through the Gospel of John verse by verse, week by week. And I think we're going on a little over a year and a half now in John. So it's been a while. Been at this for a while. It feels like a while. And we're coming up on the crucifixion and resurrection, spoiler alert. I guess you're supposed to say that before you say it. Okay. So that you can plug your ears. But Phil's going to talk about later how that is actually going to land on Good Friday and Easter. So it's important that you make it to that, or else you will miss the big giant reward for making it through all of John, right? So, in John's gospel up to this point, we're at a little past this transition of Jesus talking with his disciples, having this conversation that was super zoomed in. It took 4 chapters where he's having this one conversation with his disciples in the upper room. And in that conversation, he's revealing what's going to happen to him. And now we're starting to see what he said is going to happen to him. So we see that the army of soldiers approached him, and those were the soldiers that Judas turned Jesus over to. So we saw that's something he said was going to happen to him, that Judas would betray him. And by the way, Jesus went willingly. Then we saw some of those soldiers approach Peter, and Peter denied his association with Jesus for the first time. And then now Jesus is being held by the servants of the high priest and awaiting his presentation to Pilate, the governor of Rome. So last week, my pulpit rival, Way, stopped at chapter 18, verse 24. So let's pick it up at 25. Sound good? Yeah. Okay. If you forgot your Bible or you don't have one with you, that's all right. We have some hardback black Bibles in the seats in front of you, and you can find John chapter 18, verse 25 on page 904. And if you don't have a Bible at home, put your name in that Bible, and that's our gift to you. I can't think of a better gift than that, what we could give to you. $8.50. Well, no one corrected me in the first service. No, it's because I have a blue Bible. $8.50. $8.50. If you're there, say I'm there. Verse 25. Now Simon Peter, clue. He's using his old name. Clue how this is going to go. Now Simon Peter was standing and warming himself. So they said to him, "You are also not one of his disciples, are you?" He denied it and said, "I am not." One of the servants of the high priest, a relative of the man whose ear Peter had cut off, asked, "Did I not see you in the garden with him?" Peter again denied it, and at once the rooster crowed. Starting our outline of this passage today with what I believe is the subject of this passage, and that's this: Jesus' word. In Christianity, we know that God is all-powerful. We know that he is the creator of all things. And if we look to the creation account in Genesis, we actually see that the way he creates those things is he speaks them into existence. So God's very words have power. And in this passage, we see that Jesus' word has power. And what's interesting is Jesus doesn't have any lines in this passage. He doesn't talk once in this passage. But we still see the effects of his word. We see the evidence, the proof, and reliability of his word. So the first thing I think we learn about Jesus' word in this passage is this. Jesus' word is confirmed even through his friends who don't keep their word. Jesus' word is confirmed even through his friends who don't keep their word. His commitment to his word, his commitment to his promise, his commitment to the gospel is unfazed by whether or not we keep our word or not. That doesn't change. So let's jump back to verse 25. Now Simon Peter was standing and warming himself. So they said to him, "You also are not one of his disciples, are you?" He denied it and said, "I am not." So the author's doing this thing where he was at this scene with Peter outside in the courtyard, and he kind of went away for a second to show Jesus with Caiaphas, and now we're going back to that same time frame. So no time has passed, really. We're just going back to that Peter in the courtyard. And my question is, why is he there? Why is Peter there? If he's just going to keep on denying Jesus, why is he there? I think it's clear that even though Peter continues to deny Jesus, he wants to be close to him. And I mean, we're talking about Peter here, the disciple Peter, the guy who stepped out of the boat into the sea to try to walk to Jesus, right? The guy just a few passages ago who was willing to kill for Jesus and missed. We're talking about Peter here. If I were to guess ahead of time which disciple would probably own the Jesus thing the most, at the most crucial moment, I probably would have picked Peter. Yes. Verse 26, one of the servants of the high priest, a relative of the man whose ear Peter had cut off, asked, "Did I not see you in the garden with him?" Verse 27, Peter again denied it, and at once a rooster crowed. Why is the rooster mentioned there? If you didn't remember, chapter 13, after Jesus had told Peter where he's going, Peter cannot follow him or go as well. Verse 37 to chapter 13, Peter said to him, "Lord, why can I not follow you now? I will lay down my life for you." Jesus answered, "Will you lay down your life for me? Truly, truly, I say to you, the rooster will not crow till you have denied me 3 times. And here we are, Peter's third denial, and at once the rooster crows. I can't help but think that Peter must have not wanted that to come true so badly. But it was inevitable. And it's marked by the rooster's crow. I think if we're not careful, we could miss something in these verses. I think if we're not careful, we could leave with the takeaway that The primary purpose of these verses are for us to analyze Peter and his heart condition and see where he messed up and make sure we can learn from his mistakes and not make the same mistakes. I don't think there's no room for a conversation about that, but I don't think that's why John wrote it. I don't think the takeaway from this passage should be about Peter getting it wrong. I think it's about Jesus getting it right. One of my best friends, I've always known him to be a zealous, God-fearing Christian with strong convictions, and sometimes his convictions are really loud, and everybody hears how much he loves Jesus, and it's great. If you're around him long enough, you'll know who he follows. But a few years ago, he had an opportunity to study abroad in another country. And he could go there and study with his classmates, and his classmates knew he was all about Jesus. And so he went to this other country, and one night in this other country, which had some laws that were a little more loose in some areas, and maybe there's a little bit more opportunity, you could say, for a young college student in this country, and my friend took advantage of that. And he, for a moment, set aside his convictions and indulged. And all of his friends or all of his classmates were like, yes, right? And like, where's this guy been? Right? This is fun. This is the fun guy. And afterwards, after this night, they teased him about that and kind of wouldn't let him live it down. He was embarrassed. He was defensive. He would look for ways to justify it or talk his way around it or defend himself. And I know this guy pretty well. And I know that he has a really evangelistic heart. And what was probably going on in his heart as well is, did I just mess up my entire witness to these people? But eventually, he realized something. He realized that his failure did not change the goodness of the gospel message. And it was actually a great opportunity to share it. And so what he did was he owned his failure after, defending it. But eventually, which is sometimes a lot harder, he owned it. And he went to those people and he owned it. And he said, hey, this is what I was talking about with that grace thing, and I need it. And this is how it works. And there was a lot of fruit from that. He wanted to show them that even though he dropped the ball, God doesn't. Failing is a part of following Jesus. In fact, those are the people he came for. Okay? And I don't want to get too ahead in the pulpit, but I'll just say this. This is not the end of Peter's story. People seeing that you're weak is not what hurts your witness. It could be that what's hurting your witness is that you're trying not to let them see you're weak. Not that you're not weak. You're weak. But you don't want them to see it. And to people who don't know Jesus, they don't know the gospel, or they haven't received it, and you acting like you don't need Jesus with your actions makes the gospel not make any sense. So look for opportunities in your life to own your weakness. Look for opportunities in your life to own your weakness in front of others. In front of the people you don't know as well. In front of the people that you love and care about. Trust me, it's good for them to see that. In front of your friends, your family, your kids, your coworkers. Let them see who you depend on. Jesus' word is confirmed even through his friends who don't keep their word. And then this, Jesus' word is at work despite his enemy's mission to stop it. Jesus' word is at work despite his enemy's mission to stop it. In these verses, Jesus' word is working itself out, even though his enemies are determined to silence his word. Verse 28. Then they led Jesus from the house of Caiaphas to the governor's headquarters. And it was early morning. It's early morning and they're getting this ball rolling. They want this to get done quick. They want to make this Jesus problem go away. It was early morning. They themselves did not enter the governor's headquarters so that they would not be defiled, but could eat the Passover. So even in their 100% determination, focusing on killing Jesus, they are still thinking about how they look, their image, what it might look like if a Jewish leader wouldn't be able to eat Passover because they were ceremonially unclean. Okay, going into the headquarters of the institution that is oppressing your entire nation, it's a bad look. So they didn't go in. They waited out front for Pilate. Verse 29, so Pilate went outside to them and said, what accusation do you bring against this man? That just seems like such a reasonable question to ask to me. Someone is presenting someone to be convicted. I mean, isn't that like the first question? And we know from other places in Scripture that they did have their specific accusations against Jesus. But in this instance, they're not interested in going down that road. They don't want to go down there. Verse 30, they answered him, if this man were not doing evil, would we have not delivered him over to you? If I was Pilate, I'd probably react a little bit like this, like, what's with the dude? I think the reason they responded with some tude is that they want this thing to get over with quickly. So they're defensive because they don't want to go down that road about what accusations is what and all that. They want to make this Jesus guy that's been making them look bad go away. They want to make this Jesus problem go away. I want to point out that they are unknowingly advancing what he has already spoke. Verse 31, Pilate said to them, take him yourselves and judge him by your own law. The Jews said to him, it is not lawful for us to put anyone to death. Now here we have a chance to kind of see into the relationship between the Romans and Jews. So, like I said before, the Romans are oppressing the Jews, but so they're not, really looked highly upon by Jews, but also these Jewish leaders kind of need them right now. So Rome was in control over Israel, but they allowed Israel to govern themselves for the most part. A few exceptions, one of which is capital punishment. So they didn't allow the Jews to carry out capital punishment or the death penalty. So when the Jews said this, it's not lawful for us to put a man to death. What they're saying is, we want him dead. This is just me wondering. I wonder if they knew how sure Jesus' word is, if they would fight this hard against it. A few years ago, I discovered that I actually kind of like school. And a lot of that came from my interest in sociology. That was my major. And so that motivated me to start applying myself. And in doing that, I made an effort because I knew I wasn't that great of a student. So I told myself, I'm going to be the best participator in that classroom. And I would read just enough of the reading to be able to contribute something to the class discussion every time. Shocker, that really served me well. And new students would come in and it would actually kind of look like I knew what I was doing a little bit. And it won me some points with my professors. And new students would ask me, like new students to the major would ask me like for help on their assignments. I really liked it. It really made me feel good about myself. And everything was really great until this girl Trinity showed up. Trinity was, she did not just do the reading. Trinity did her own reading too. Trinity was an exceptional student all the way around. And needless to say, we developed this unspoken rivalry. Or at least that's what was going on in my head. And we would get in these back and forth battles and these discussions of like, who could say the more profound thing or intriguing thing. Maybe that was all in my head too. But she would usually win still, so we would do that. And one of the last sociology classes I took, there was a debate that was scheduled for the end of the semester. And the professor said, whichever side wins gets extra credit. Now, like I said, Trinity was an exceptional student all the way around. I, on the other hand, was a pretty good student, and on paper, was a pretty average student. And so I really needed those extra credit points. And as they were picking the sides, I kind of saw all the, like bandwagoners, like just, like all this dead weight, just go to Trinity's side, like, oh, easy letter grade boost. And I realized there was an opportunity here. Although everybody was sure she was going to win, I was even pretty sure. But if I go to the other side and I beat her, I can finally win this war once and for all and be dubbed king of sociology. So what side do you think I picked? Team Trinity. I really needed those extra credit points. I was in no place to gamble like that. You gotta do what you gotta do. I'm telling you this because the Jewish leaders in this passage are choosing the losing side of Jesus' word. Because their hearts are closed off to the truth. They're choosing to go against the grain of his word. But you still have a choice. And before you get too comfortable, I'm not just talking about your initial conversion. You still have an opportunity to choose the right way in that sin battle you've been fighting for a long time, that you don't believe you can win. Maybe you've lost all hope to where every time a little smidge of Jesus' voice comes, you extinguish it. You just want to make it go away. You can't win the battle. But you can still choose Jesus. You can choose to put your hope in Jesus. It's not too late. You can put your hope in Jesus, and hope put in Jesus is the best possible investment of your hope you can place, is in Jesus. It's not too late to choose him in that area. His word is at work despite his enemy's mission to stop it. And then this, Jesus' word is fulfilled in his death, just like he said it would be. Jesus' word is fulfilled in his death, just like he said it would be. The kind of death Jesus would face fulfills his word. Verse 32. This was to fulfill the word that Jesus had spoken to show what kind of death he was going to die. And I think the word order here, or word grammar here, is really important. Jesus' saying wasn't fulfilling what happened. What happened was fulfilling what Jesus said. What happened, the way he was going to die, is subordinate to his word. Not only did this fulfill that Jesus said he would die, it fulfilled the exact way he said he would die. In John, Jesus is saying that he would be lifted up was a reference to lifted up on a cross. So when the Jews turn him over to the Romans, that's appointing that kind of death, of crucifixion, a very humiliating death. Exactly 2,069 years ago to the day was the Ides of March. The most powerful man on the planet at the time, Julius Caesar, ruler of Rome, was publicly struck down by a group of his own senators on the Roman Senate floor. And the one who led the attack was his closest, most trusted ally, Marcus Brutus. And this is crazy. This happened in front of all the senators in Rome. This meeting. They just walked up and circled around him and struck him down. What's really interesting is ancient sources tell us that the day before this, Julius Caesar was having this casual conversation with one of his buddies about how he would want to die. And he said, unexpectedly. I fully believe, and there is some debate of whether he should have seen it coming or whatever, but I fully believe that if Julius Caesar knew that walking into that Roman Senate hall on March 15th meant what it meant, he would have at least rescheduled the meeting. Jesus knew exactly the way he would die. And he didn't walk away from it. He walked right at it. And he was the one who scheduled it. Why? Why would he do that? Well, John 3:16 says that it's because God loves us. What good news. So if Jesus was willing to appoint his own humiliating death on a cross for us, what should our attitude be? What should our heart posture be when he asks us to make a sacrifice? What if he asked you to give up some of your free time or your entertainment to serve him better? What if he asked you to give up some of your social energy to make the people around you feel seen, like he sees you? What if he asked you to give up your career to follow him better? If your heart, when I say that, is closed off to those things, I want to tell you this. I tell you these things not as a burden for you to walk away feeling. I tell you this because what he has for you is so much better. And maybe you're not worried about the day-to-day because you haven't given him your life yet. Maybe you haven't surrendered your life to him yet. If you've never committed your life to him yet, I just want to tell you that he has life for you if you confess and believe. I'm going to tell you the gospel. We like to say it like this. Around 2,000 years ago, Jesus was born. He died on a cross. He rose from the grave. He defeated death and went to heaven. And he's coming back again. That's the gospel. That's the good news. And that's good news whether you receive it or not, whether you're on the right side of it or not, but it's offered to you. And so if you have never received that, Romans gives us a pretty clear gospel response. If you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. If you want the eternal life that he's offering to you. You want to be on the right side of Jesus' word. You want to surrender your life to him. I'm going to give you an opportunity to do that right now in prayer. You can repeat after me, and these words aren't magical. They're to represent what's already happening in here so that your belief intersects with your confession. Jesus, I confess that you are Lord. And I believe in my heart that you rose from the grave and defeated death. Save me. Lord, I can't come up with a reason why you would do that except that you are love. That you just are good. You are worthy. I don't know why you would think of us besides that you just love us. Lord, work on our hearts right now to worship you. Why? Because you are worthy. Pour your Spirit out from our hearts.